Hello, I'm Alan.
I'm Rebecca.
And if you're listening to this, then we recommend that you check out our podcast, the DCAU Podcast, where we watch the original DC animated movies, starting from Batman Mask of the Phantasm and continuing on to Justice League Dark, Apocalypse War, and beyond. And we will cover such heroes as Batman,
Superman,
the Batman,
Wonder Woman,
Victorian Steampunk Batman,
The Flash,
Batman Beyond,
Green Lantern,
Old Man Batman,
Martian Manhunter.
and plenty more versions of Batman.
Lots and lots and lots of Batman.
You can find the DCAU podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else that you can get podcasts by looking up the DCAU podcast and subscribe today.
This is Jed MacKay, and you're listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast.
Yes, welcome back, loony listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast. This is episode 301, and you are with both of your dark t-shirted hosts, Rebecca and Ray. Rebecca, hello.
Hi, I see you've got an Iron Fist one on. Very nice.
I do. It's a Defenders one.
Okay.
I've got the 4 panels, and I always try to educate Finn. He always asks me, "Who's that? Who's that? Who's that?"
Oh,
He knows.
bless him.
He knows Iron Fist now. He's a little confused that Luke Cage and Jessica Jones are just names.
Yeah.
But it's like I said, that's their names, and Daredevil and Iron Fist. But no, yeah, all good. But it's yours. I can't really see yours. I see some
Lord of the
flame.
Rings. It's the
Lord of the
Eye of
Rings.
Sauron and the ring running off hand in hand.
Oh, lovely. Well, listeners, as you probably guessed, this is live streaming. So if you're listening to it on a podcast, please bear with us with any visual references. But
Yes.
welcome to the show. Rebecca and I are here for another Moonshine. It's Moon Knight issue 15, the latest and greatest from Jed MacKay and Alessandro Cappuccio, and of course Rachelle, Rosenberg and the whole creative team.
Yes.
So
same creative team. We know them by now, right? We're their home. For
you
us.
know the drill. 15 times we've done this.
Yeah.
Before any of that, of course, a huge thank you to our patroonies, to our top tier patroonies, Odin Sword, Drew Toombs, Daniel Doing, Frank the Think Tank, and a couple of sponsors, CLZ Comics and Dreamland Comics from Schoenberg, Illinois. Now, Rebecca, before we get into any kind of like white news, how are you? Like, what's been doing in the world of Rebecca?
What can I say? It's been a bit of a week, hasn't it? New Prime Minister, new King.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true, isn't it?
Eventful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been it was such a big morning to wake up to.
Of course, because you
for
woke
us.
up to. Yeah, I kind of like watched it come out in real time.
Wow. So when did it like what time was it? Afternoon?
like,
Or-
Sometime after lunch, there was notification that something odd was going on in Parliament.
Right.
Little notes were being passed around, and it was like, well, it has to be the Queen. I mean, she's 96 or was 96. Then they put out some statements saying she was under medical supervision. Then all her kids started to go up to Scotland, and it became, they don't do that unless something monumental is happening. So we kind of knew from like mid-afternoon, I guess, but then nothing official till 6-ish p.m. So it played out over a few hours, but I think people pretty much knew what was going on. So
yeah, I mean, she reached a fantastic age. So in that regard,
what can you say?
Yeah.
She's she's 96. It wasn't unexpected, but it's it's like I'm not a monarchist by any
Mm.
stretch of the imagination, but it is something that you have to be pretty much 80 years old to remember a time when she wasn't on the throne. So it's weird, like all our notes will change, all our stamps will change.
Yeah.
Things have like paused. I just spent a while waiting to see what's actually going to go ahead this weekend.
Yeah.
It's interesting times.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and it reaches far beyond, I guess, just the shores of the UK as well. Of course, Australia, very much, leaning on the UK and on England as well. And yeah, I was just during work, so obviously woke up and just during work, using the office car to go around campus where I had like jobs to kind of go to, had the radio on in the car and hearing about all these stories about Queen Elizabeth, and it's amazing. One of the things that I took away was just because of the sheer longevity that she had. She first met Philip the year my mum was born, and my mum is so that's amazing.
What was the crazy stat I saw, that she was queen for a third of the time America has been the USA has been a country.
That is crazy.
That's like
absolutely crazy.
Puts both things in context, but it's just insane.
And just finally as well, my work colleague, she was telling me another her coronation was apparently the first ever televised coronation. So
first thing my dad ever saw on TV. They all went round to someone's house who had a TV and watched it. Yeah,
amazing.
So it spans so many developments, and like I said, I mean, I have no particular love for the royal family, but it's quite something. It does sort of take over the country, and it kind of. It's hard to say how I am given within that. I mean, I'm tired as always, work's busy, but a lot of my time yesterday was spent wondering if any of my plans for the weekend will go ahead. So
yeah. So I mean, big week. Okay,
and also a new Moon Knight issue. Let's get it back to that.
A new Moon Knight issue. I love the segue. It's fantastically handled.
Also a new Cap issue, but
Oh yeah,
and a very good Iron Man issue in Avengers Unlimited Infinity comic from our friends from Moon Knight, Black, White, and Red.
Fantastic. So, yep, that was good. And on the TV front as well, I really enjoyed She-Hulk episode 4.
Yeah, really good episode.
That I must say, that after
Wonger's is.
Oh my God. That after, and slight spoiler, sorry if anyone's kind of watched it, but
that wasn't much of a spoiler.
No. But episode, apart from it's up there with episode 1. That's what I'm saying. I really enjoyed episode 1.
I think it was my favourite one so far, just because. Yeah. You just knew everyone knew what to expect. It was,
the comedy and the unexpected comedy as well. I mean, you mentioned Wongers. Let's just keep it at that. And I thought it was just brilliantly done.
It was really well done.
And because I have been kind of critical, of the CGI because it's been such a focus. I was really impressed with a lot of there were shots.
It wasn't. It felt all right. I mean, it's still not great, but it's not as awkward. But
it's not. Yeah, it's not terrible in the sense. I mean, I love Jen's hair. Like she had the hair down.
It's beautiful. I love that it grows when she's the Hulk. I don't understand it, but it looks fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
But then we had Disney Plus Day yesterday. I didn't pay any attention to it at all because the Queen died.
Yes.
But there's new things on Disney Plus now. You can go watch Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yes, saw that.
Pinocchio, which the guy, our lodger is terrified of, so we won't be watching Pinocchio.
Oh, live action as well, like live as well.
Yeah, so he's terrified of Pinocchio. Literally, he had to admit that he's got this phobia against Pinocchio. So we're not watching that. And then I started watching something called Wedding Season, which is like a sort of murder mystery.
Oh, okay.
Disney
cool.
Plus.
Disney Plus.
And apparently the Cars sequel.
Oh, okay. Lightning McQueen.
I didn't really investigate much. There were no Moon Knight announcements. That's all I know. But D23 starts today, so.
Yes.
We're
great.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Things are still. I'm hopeful. something happen? Something
I'm
will
still
happen?
hopeful. I mean, I know
Yeah.
there's a school of thought that nothing will be announced till after the Emmys because of the
Yeah.
limited series thing. But we might hear other things about Moon Knight, like if he's going to appear in films and stuff. That might
Yeah.
come from D23. Who knows? I mean,
Uh,
they're
uh,
always hopeful.
And another, I mean, you're saying that as well, the other school of thought, a really dark thought came across my mind, Rebecca, and that was that maybe that's it. Like, I was just reflecting, well, I think I was reading an article on Moon Knight, and there's like, well, maybe Oscar and like Mohammed Diab are happy to have that's just like his self-contained thing, and that's the end. Like, maybe.
I mean, it is possible, but I
Yeah.
feel it's unlikely, especially given that
Oh.
Cairo trip video.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you for.
I'm here to be the
Yes.
voice of positive
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
change.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It just for a little glimpse, I thought like.
I
Well,
mean,
maybe,
look, I thought at the
maybe.
beginning that was always possible because, like, you know,
Yeah.
he's a very wanted actor. He
Yes.
just got cast in something else, I think. But if he loves it and he enjoyed the experience, I just think the Cairo video very heavily hinted that there's more to come. So
That's true. Yeah, but like you said with Oscar Isaac, it's just I can I'm also almost questioning. Okay, well, how well does he know Moon Knight, and does he? In the sense, bear with me, in the sense that it's like
it was a very different Moon Knight, admittedly.
No, well, not only that, but the fact that, like, does Oscar, we know in interviews just said he did collect comics, like he collected X-Force, X-Men and all that. So he must have come across Moon Knight. But, like, has he really kind of pigeonholed Moon Knight as, this is a character that can easily just be done, like a one and done, and kind of left?
Who knows?
I know, yeah.
Who knows?
Anyway,
I still think there's hope. We'll see him again.
Yeah. We do have a couple of bits of news here, Rebecca. One also is, I mean, apart from all the news that we've just mentioned, of course.
It's a Newsweek.
It's a Newsweek. We have. I should really put this for the aid of the people watching White Noise Moon Knight news. Speaking of the Emmys, Rebecca and mate, they did win something already, didn't they? The sound design, Moon Knight.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Sound design.
So they've won that. So I'm assuming these are like pre-awards to the
They're
proper
the
awards?
technical awards.
Yes.
They do the technical awards first, and then so when they do the big broadcast, it's just the biggies.
They get all the they leave all the glamour, all the glory people to the end.
Yeah, it's pretty rubbish, but you know, that's what happens now.
But big congratulations though to the sound design team of Moon Knight, because it does sound amazing. I think also. Rebecca, the costumes were on display as well. I think, aren't they nominated for costume design or something?
I didn't actually pay attention.
Oh, okay.
I forgot it was coming up, so I haven't gone back to look, I should say.
Yeah. Well, I think they are. Loonies, please pull me up if I'm wrong. But yeah, I think that they're in contention. So the costumes are on display at the moment. And this one is from you, Rebecca, as well. I love this post. So we got from Amazon at least, March 14th. Yeah, 2023, we have Volume 3 of the MacKay run released, the trade paperback, halfway to Sanity. So we'll have 3 volumes collecting all of the run.
And hopefully a 4th.
Hopefully a 4th. Yes, this does not mean that this is the end of it, because, they're just...
Fingers crossed, eh?
Fingers crossed. I'm hopeful. Jed is smashing it out of the park. So
I mean, it's so good. Oh.
Yeah.
Preview of how much I enjoyed this issue.
Speaking of which, Rebecca, shall we get straight into it?
Let's do it.
Now, as mentioned, Looney listeners, this is Moon Knight, Volume 1, Issue 15, released the 7th of September 2022, and it is the super team, the usual crew, writer Jed MacKay, penciler and inks, I guess, Alessandro, Cappuccio, colorist Rachelle, Rosenberg. Rebecca, would you happen to have the issue handy, or maybe
Yeah,
not?
I do. Letter of VC's Cory Petit.
Yes.
Cover artist Stephen Segovia and Rachelle Rosenberg. Variant cover artist Declan Shalvey. And, you know, some editors and...
Some editors and
you
such.
don't need to know them.
Well-oiled machine, Rebecca. Picked up just where I left off. I do apologise because I did create this prompt sheet early on, I think just when the issue dropped. So I went to fandom, like Wiki Fandom, and they only had
Right.
the very bare credits first.
No, it's
and
fine. I don't even
hadn't
have the
gone back.
prompt sheet, so I'm going.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. And as always, with a late or new issues, this is available in floppy format. You can get that with a variant cover, as Rebecca said, from the great the Declan Shelby. Yes, Rebecca. Let's just keep it at that. And the usual cover as well, which I'm assuming is Steven Segovia.
Yeah.
Yes, Steven
Beautiful
Segovia as
cover.
well. For those watching, apologies, I didn't get my act together. I haven't got the cover for Declan Shelby's, but it's from memory. It's a Miracle Man variant, so it's got Moon Knight in the background, a Miracle Man in the foreground. Have you followed Miracle Man, Rebecca?
Not really.
What the hell is that about?
I don't really. I haven't. I've always meant to, and I never have. And my brother-in-law's very good friends with the artist, so
Okay.
I'm still shamed that I don't know more about it. I kept meaning to catch up, but I haven't. So one day.
Right. All I know is that apparently, isn't it like a property that Marvel acquired or something? Was it like a?
I think so.
Yeah,
And it's
something,
been
something like that.
And it's been dormant for a long time, and they didn't finish their run, Eamon and Buckingham, so now they're coming back. So
yeah, excellent. Well, yeah. So if you are a fan of that Miracle Man, please go pick that up as well. So only the two covers for this issue. Now let me share on my screen now. There we go. So
it's beautiful.
This is the Segovia cover, and Rebecca, you did comment on this on the last episode when it was revealed at the end, which is pretty cool. So again, the colours, I mean, it's consistent colouring, I think, Rosenberg. It's just the yellows, pinks and reds and purples. They
and
just
then
seem
the sort of teals, and it's just lovely.
So it's really cool. What we do, listeners, in case you haven't listened before, if you have, then you're going to be bored out of your mind as I go through this. So basically, Rebecca and I will go through a bare bones, followed by just the key aspects of what made up this issue, and then Rebecca and I will just follow up that with anything to do with references or writing or any notes that we come up with the actual themes. Little preview. It was a pretty good issue, so you get no complaints. Rebecca, you said that you do not have the prompt sheet with you. That's okay, because
I mean, you can send it across, but I don't have it.
Oh, look, I'll give this a go. And
you read it.
Again, I did read it. I haven't proofread it, so
that's fine.
Here it is. This, I should say, always at the beginning, this is Moonlighting, the title of this episode. Marc Spector recounts to Dr Sterman how he eventually embraced his other alters to form a cohesive, functioning and cooperative unit. Marc admits that both Stephen and Jake were sorely missed in his encounters with Zodiac and the structure, and that the Fist of Khonshu also needs eyes, ears, and direction. Jake turns his attention to investigating the brewing vampire problem in the city with the intent of broaching a potential ally. Jake discovers from Naomi that there is unrest within the vampire coven, with a larger group forcing fellow vampires to join or die. Reuben, Naomi's brother and a vampire himself, is in hiding, and Naomi confesses Chinatown is where he has fled to. Meanwhile, Stephen uses his connections to research more on Nemean and Grand Mal through his contact Kurt, under the guise of a joint venture to capitalise on supervillains. Dr Sterman also asks Marc how his friends took the news that he has DID, and each had their own unique reaction. Soldier maintained a wider and blind faith in Marc, regardless of the reveal of his other alters. Hunter's Moon berated Marc, not for his disorder, but for the plan he has with the vampires. And Reese, who reassures Marc with the care she has for him now. After the two share a much-needed hug, they turn their attentions to Chinatown in a quest to find Reuben. So that pretty much sums up what this issue was about. It was a great follow-on to issue 14, which, Rebecca, the issue basically showed how Marc and the other alters kind of found a bit more harmony within themselves.
They found some common ground and had the talk they needed to have.
So in this issue, I know we've just said the bare bones, but this is pretty much like Marc explaining to Dr. Sterman how, not only kind of how he came about it, because we saw that in issue 14, but the ramifications of it.
Yeah, it's him sort of talking about it externally to Dr. Sterman. They have a whole chat about how the therapy came about, what her job is, the fact that DOD seemed to be kind of not the focus of her therapy. But it's still important to him. So then,
What have I done here, Rebecca? Okay, there we go. Sorry. Yes. So there we go. There's that. Yeah. So I mean, it opens up with Marc. They bring up the conversation on DID again, as you say, because this had been largely, I guess, not avoided. It had been acknowledged by Dr. Sterman, but the focus was elsewhere. She said it's more about triage, and it's about trying to look at ways to prevent him from doing what happened in Age of Khonshu. It was a direct kind of response to what the Avengers want to do and want to keep a check on.
Why the Avengers want to keep an eye on him.
So there's a little bit of kind of talking through here. I like this back and forth with Dr. Sterman and Moon Knight, because their dialogue is not just straightforward. You see it there are quips from Marc that she reads under beneath between the lines.
Tells him to stop being petulant, which I liked.
Yeah, stop being petulant. There's other ones like later on she goes, like, you're joking. I'm joking, obviously. I'm not, not cracking onto you or anything like that. And so they've got a really cool conversation going, and I like it because Jed actually just makes it a little bit more, less straightforward. There's a bit more to it. So one of the first key aspects I had here, Rebecca, was basically we see more of Stephen and Jake, and they're put into good use now, because in issue 14 they were pretty much given a back seat, and that's when they kind of came up to Marc and say, why did you kind of suppress us when you kind of need us?
And now we get to see what use they can be to him. Well, as together, what we see how they're better functioning as a whole. Functioning together. But we get some nice little little changes, like the pager on, so we're now switching to cash only. We have no idea where this money's come from, but there's no money for the credit cards.
Which is kind of good, because it kind of does half explain what we've asked before, about where's all your kind of money got,
this is the money he's obviously
this is
kept
the money
safe.
Exactly, because we know Stephen Grant is meant to be the wealthy one, but he doesn't seem to have tapped into that. But we see now in front of us.
But he's always shown himself capable of making money. So here we go. But obviously we get the fun thing that we got in the previews, the haircuts. So
how cool was that?
It's such a fun conversation. He goes to a very fancy hairdresser, who's an artist, and they all have different drinks as well. So.
That's very good as well. I like these little snippets as well, because it very much defines the alters as well.
I really liked Michael sort of saying, "I've seen Marines with healthier hair in Fallujah," and it's since Marc was a Marine, it's kind of funny. It's just it is a Marine's hair, or was, and So he drinks scotch, as apparently this is what the ultra wealthy wear. Drink 16-year-old scotch, 16-year-old probably,
and what do you say? No 16-year-old scotch in the wilderness, adding nor conditioner. It would have been. I love that kind of.
I love it.
Really
it's so
smart
funny.
kind of smart aleck.
Thank you, Stephen, for the haircut.
Thank you, Stephen. And it's great that he's kind of back because he did. Stephen looked
It's
at
so funny because, like, right from the
Yeah.
minute he took his mask off in whatever the first issue
Yes.
was, and we've been like, oh, I don't know about the shaggy hair.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly
We
what I
are
was about
all
to say.
Stephen. Like, you know,
Yeah,
come
yeah.
on, Mark.
So we get a nice little well, I'm lost for words these days. Summary of Stephen here.
Yeah.
Then we bounce to Jake, and
yeah.
I love it. Again, Jed has introduced another. So this is another key aspect, just the new characters in general. So we got Michael, the hairdresser, or the artist. Let's call him the artist. We have Naomi, the barkeep, and Jake again. Rachelle Rosenberg, beautiful, dim colors, a bit softer, not harsh reds.
And
but...
we're getting man on the street, friendly, chat to the.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
we're not getting mass violent. Whatever.
Grim,
this is the
dark.
Jake we know. He's just not at Gina's. He's in a pub. It's similar thing.
And if I can jump to later on, we do get a reaffirmation of that because when he does get accosted by the Belgian guy, Claude Peters, he takes off his moustache and he becomes Marc to fight him. So it's not like Jake is ready to bruise his knuckles. It's very much Marc's. Yeah, so that's kind of Jed really makes.
And
that
he's got the
clear.
whole calling someone Belgian French, which is a very Poirot thing. So he drinks rum.
He drinks rum.
He drinks
yes,
rum.
Why not? Why not? Because he's.
People.
That's it. And Naomi says you always were a bit of a pirate. I love that kind of take because he's a bit rough and ready in that sense. But he's still very
getting his information out. Yeah.
Yeah. But look, he's also still very lovable because what I loved here was that he goes, "I'm home," and everyone's Jake. They all shout.
Jake people like him. And then obviously we have the reference to an angry Frenchman, which who didn't think of Frenchie?
Yes,
but then she comes back and says he's Belgian. So yeah.
And
she has this nice little tease.
Yeah. And speaking of tease as well, MacKay does well to again. She's got an eye patch. Her brother's a vampire. There's a story there as well.
Yeah, we have a fleshed out story. Yeah,
so I'm immediately interested in Naomi. I'd like to say Michael too, but he seems to have a bit of a lesser role, Michael, the artiste.
Who knows? Maybe he'll come back as,
Yeah.
Maybe Reese will get in with Michael. Who knows? Maybe Soldier will get in with Michael. Who knows?
Who knows? But as mentioned in the synopsis as well, so Jake, they've both got their different kind of journeys to go through. Jake is investigating the vampires, which he goes through via Naomi. And we get also Stephen tackling, this whole idea that Moon Knight or Mr. Knight Marc was unprepared before with Zodiac, unprepared with Nemean and Grand Mal. So now it's like using the rest of his resources properly. So Stephen
to get some background on them.
Exactly, exactly. It's all about intel, it seems, and I like this avenue that Stephen goes through because it has to be distinct from Jake's man on the streets thing. So Stephen, it's like a meeting for a joint venture. I mean, that's what I kind of saw. And it's of its time as well. I love the whole fact, what's big.
Yeah,
in the films?
It's superheroes.
But he's totally right as well. And
I mean,
a big shout out to Times of Evil because they latched onto it before Stephen. But supervillains are where it's at, So Stephen proposes that, but Kurt, his business partner, so to speak, I guess says, well, there are reasons why we can't go down that avenue because of precedents. But Marc says, Stephen says, well, only in the US. So he wants to do, and that's his kind of, I think, smokescreen to investigate Nemean and Grand Mal.
Yeah.
Which is very, very clever. I mean,
it's savvy.
Yeah, very savvy. So I love that.
There's Kurt. There we have Kurt. And Stephen pulls out a wad of cash as well to kind of tie back to earlier, which is pretty fun. But again, so Moon Knight, Mr. Knight and Dr. Sterman again talking about just how he needed direction with the fists. He's the bruiser, Marc, but he needs. I mean, that's very much where we get the manifesto that he's the fist. the weapon, but he needs the eyes and ears who are Jake and Stephen.
Exactly. We get, and then this, we have a little bit of a reference here as well, Rebecca. So we go back to Jake and speaking with Naomi, and Jake really wants to know where Ruben is because, as we said in the bare bones, there's some trouble brewing within the vampire community, and there's and so Jake kind of wants in. He wants to potentially get an ally.
Yeah.
Now, Rebecca, this is actually. Jake wants to get Ruben to then go as an ally to go after the structure. Is that your understanding?
I think
or
so.
actually,
Or to at least find out what's going on so they can have a proper plan.
Yeah, because Hunter's Moon says, look, what you're doing it all wrong. We should be killing these people, but you're using them to try and become allies. At first, I thought it was to actually combat the vampires, but I think it's more so to battle structure in the Nemean and Grand Mal, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we do get a reference to, what is it here? A guy with shades and
I think we all know who that is.
Yep. No, definitely Deadpool. So none other than Blade, of course. We just can't wait. I can't wait to see Blade. Have you been reading Jason Aaron's Avengers run?
Only on and off when it's a particular issue of interest, but not really.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I know Blade's in there, but I don't read it regularly enough to get my Blade hit, so to speak. So just him kind of being alluded to is very exciting within the Moon Knight comic. So we get the destination is Chinatown, which is pretty cool. It sounds that's where Ruben's hiding, but it just sounds like that's where everything's gonna, explode. So that's very exciting. And another big aspect or key moment of this issue are the kind of origins, or at least
we get some information about Nemean and Grand Mal. So we're gonna rely on here information from Mario. In the Facebook group, who has given us some. He did our research for us. So Kurt starts telling him about who they are. So we've got Nemean, who is Greek. That's the name. Super assassin. Footage of him fighting ECAM, which is I'm not going to try and pronounce it. The Greek Special Suppressive Anti-Terrorist Unit. You want to know what the letters actually stand for? Mario has written them out on the Facebook group, but I'm not going to murder Greek any more than I need to. So he has this, as speculated, he has the same powers as the Nemean lion from Greek myth. He has unbreakable skin, and he's a brawler. And he says he's a pancreationist.
Yeah, what is that?
So Mario explains.
Thank you, Mario.
Thank you, Mario. A practitioner of pancreation, I think that's how it's pronounced. A mixed martial art based on ancient Greek styles.
Oh, very cool.
So, just done his research. He wants a bit of Greek. Yeah. So he's an assassin. He'll do things for money. He can be messy. And then we get to Grand Mal.
Oh, sorry, Rebecca. He can be very messy, so I definitely got vibes of Sabretooth there as well.
Yeah, me too. And he still looks very Sabretooth to me. It's some of it's the sort of furry cloaks and stuff. Grand Mal is assassin from Carnelia, a random former Soviet republic that first appeared in Iron Man 117 in 1978.
Wow,
Jed has
deep
used
dive.
it before in Iron Cats #1.
Oh my gosh.
Again, thank you, Mario.
Thank you, Mario.
So I was most worried about Grand Mal and what they were going to make her power. And I haven't checked back with my friend with epilepsy, but I think this hovers on the edge of what we didn't want it to be. But she can target nervous systems and cause seizures.
Yes.
Seizures. Some kind of electronic dim Mac, thank you, Mario, is a probably fictional death touch from Chinese martial arts.
Okay. Yes.
So that's our baddies that he's going to go up against.
And it surprised me actually that Grand Mal, not that it's bad or anything, but that it's actually technology that she uses. I think
that might kind of save it, but it's still a little bit on the nose with the seizures and Grand Mal, and it's fine.
The name.
It's fine. It'll do.
Yeah. I mean, So from memory, I think Mr. Moon Knight took care of her, really. I mean, if you can get away from that touch of hers, she doesn't seem to be too much of a problem. But we haven't seen much of her. But Namin, obviously, is, as you said, a bit of a brawler. So all the while, Stephen is listening to this intel come in from, I'm assuming, Kurt or whoever.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, good thing that you don't have to deal with it. And he's going, yeah, good thing that I don't have to. So I love the look. I think Alessandro Cappuccio really captures that kind of, especially with the zoom in on the eye. At the end, it's kind of like, yeah, he's really kind of thinking about that. So yeah, that's really cool as well. And then I guess we get. Oh, this is the page, Rebecca, that we talk about the vodka, and the makes me want to become a vodka lover now, Rebecca. I've got to say.
It used to be one of my drinks of choice, so that's all right.
Did you do it as cold as it gets?
Yeah. We used to freeze it.
Yes, I love that, and it doesn't stain, which Mark rightly.
I mean, he doesn't mind beating people up with white soup.
He doesn't mind blood. Doesn't
he drinks vodka, so it doesn't stain. Bless him. But what a beautiful cityscape that is.
And again, I've just got to draw back to how critical we were of Cappuccio in the early issues. Look at this backdrop now. Look at even page 1 as well, like that, The Office.
I know.
It's really good. But the colours, again, are just fantastic out of this world. And then we get this thing which I mentioned before. So Jake is starting to investigate towards Chinatown, and he gets whopped by Rube. It's not Ruben.
By Claude.
Sorry, Claude. Yeah, Claude Peters, who he's done a dirty on before. We don't know, and again, there's a story behind that, which I love.
Yeah, which I love as well.
But then I love it how he just takes off the moustache. So hang on, let me just.
We've been wanting the false moustache for so long.
Yes,
and here it is.
Because
everything.
We all know it's a false moustache, but you don't see him take it off or put it on nearly enough. No. So that was cool, and then all the action happens off panel because it jumps to the second major bit of this issue, Rebecca, which is the reactions of his friends. So Dr. Sterman asks, okay, well, how do your friends take it when you have revealed to them about DID? You know, and then so we get 3 distinct reactions, which I think is great.
We get a soldier who literally just like, all right, whatever, you're my boss. Whatever,
yeah.
You know, okay.
As they are digging up, I think it's Claude. Is that right?
I don't know who they're digging up.
Okay,
Maybe you mean burying?
Burying him. Yeah, I assumed it was.
I mean, maybe. Forward. Yeah, that'd be funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think general nefarious things.
Yeah, because only because.
Oh no, they want to. No, they're gonna dig a vampire up, see if he wants to talk about Chinatown.
Oh, okay. But still, that's pretty.
It's pretty
morbid. Fun. Yeah. But yeah, Soldier is very much like, I don't know, man. Whatever you do, you're my boss.
Whatever you want, I'm the boss.
Whatever. Yeah. Which is such a Soldier thing. It's in his name. He's just following.
Yeah, it's in his name. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. This one kind of surprised me, but. It kind of doesn't really. Well, it does. I mean, Hunter's Moon goes. Moon Knight gets hit by him. Yeah, and he goes, "Do you hit me because I got DID?" He goes, "No." He says, "I don't mind that you have all these facets." He actually says that this is part of reflects the aspects of Khonshu. So if anything, it's very good. But he's like, "Why do you hit me then?" It's because you're, allying.
Your plan's stupid.
Yeah, your plan's stupid. You're trying to be allies with monsters, and he's saying that, and he does admit Reese and her friends. Yeah. Okay, they're okay, but these other monsters. What are you doing? So I love that we get a little snippet. I love Hunter's Moon. So
and that's very much in keeping with his first appearance. So when he's just like, why are you even talking to these things? You should be killing them.
Yes, but we do get that. I think it is. Oh God, is it issue? I could be 7,
8, 9,
or 7. Yeah, 8 or 9.
It's one of those. It's in that where he says, where he sort of realizes Reese isn't that bad.
Yeah. I love that turning point there as well. And speaking of Reese, we get the final one, like
the important one.
Yeah, how does Reese take it? And remember, Looney listeners, she met Stephen Grant kind of unexpectedly at the end of issue 12, because that was the end of I remember that arc where we see Stephen. So of course she'd kind of push him for that regards, like what is going on
what's
here?
Going on,
yeah. And we see Mark or Mr. Knight is very he's like very shy about it, and
He's much
kind
more
of
apologetic and
almost as like I want to say shameful, but he just really
I don't think so.
maybe
I think it's more that he's worried how she'll take it. Like she's
well,
the one that
yes,
she's the one he doesn't want to lose the most of those. Like he feels that
yes,
if Hunter's
yes,
Moon was
yes,
like, I want nothing to do with you, he has an answer to that. If Soldier says, I want nothing to do with
yes,
you, he'd kind of live, but he's come to
yes.
depend on Reese a lot more.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm kind of getting at. Like,
Yeah.
because he says like I've been struggling with this and other things. He wanted to. I should have told you this before. He's ashamed that it's come out this way. That's what I'm thinking. I'm saying, like, he should have broached. He should have confided in Reese earlier. But he was going through. I mean,
He's not had a lot of time to be fair. But
yeah. We know how complicated his
Reese, of course,
his
gives
life
the
is.
perfect response because she's Reese.
Very mature for like such a. Isn't she like 17 years old? Very young.
Yeah, I mean, but also, I mean, she's just been turned to a vampire, and he's not judged her at all. So it is a kind of sort of giving back what he's given to her. It's like I only care about who you are. Like I don't care about this. Like
I was about to say exactly the same thing.
Been with him for however long, and he's not treated her badly, or
Absolutely. I'm going back to referring. If we're going to references back to, I think it's issue 2, where he has that talk with Reese, and Reese is kind of like
that's so
in a bit
lovely,
of
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and so now it's come back, and she's kind of. They've kind of swapped roles almost because remember in issue 2, like Reese got very ashamed, like when she kind of really was, salivating over the blood that she saw on Soldier. I think it was, and she has to run out of the room. Yeah, and then at the end of that issue, like Mark's, you're saying, you got to. It's fine and all that. So I love it how it's kind of turned the other way. And Reese comes across as really sincere and. It's this super kind of awkward moment, but
amazing awkward about do we hug?
Yeah, but then it just makes the hug that more
so sweet,
kind of warm. So this was a really nice ending. I'm happy to see the two eyes of the Midnight Mission as well, Rebecca.
Yeah.
It's there, the House of
Midnight
Shadows.
Mission's watching, going, that's why I couldn't mess with your head.
So they share this moment, and then it's just like a little pause, and then Reese is bang straight into it. So Chinatown.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's really by way of action. Not much by way of action, but it really is important, I think.
But if you're going to have an exposition issue, this one, the way it intersperses, the way you've got the altars to change up the atmosphere a bit and the whole situation, it really works very well.
Yeah, I think like MacKay has really done well. I mean, again, it's easy to overlook how many characters he's trying to juggle, like here, and like he's given them each a fair bit of the spotlight as well. So we get enough of Stephen, enough of Jake, who we haven't seen for 14 issues. We get a further development of Reese, and there was something, Rebecca, I think you said in Discord about Reese. It's like for someone that hasn't featured that
how much
long,
we care about her, like we just are so invested. I mean, look, I still want to know what's happened to everyone else, but like, I'm good with who we've got right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. I am in no way kind of thinking, oh, what's happened to like Frenchie or Marlene.
Yeah.
I know there's a story in the wings for Soldier as well. Like he just got turned into a vampire too. So there's plenty to play with and plenty that Jed has set up. So I just hope that we do get beyond issue 18,
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm hopeful, but I really hope we do.
Yeah.
Because this is really turning out to be one of the best runs.
It is, and we're up to issue 15 already. Like this has surpassed the Jeff Lemire run by way of quantity. So, and there's an annual on the way as well by the same writer at least. So there's a lot of faith, it seems, that the editors and Marvel have in MacKay to continue on Moon Knight. It's very kind of exciting indeed. Rebecca, I mean, I guess it's time for scores. Do you want to go first or?
I'll give it a 9. I loved
Yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it.
Let me add that into the annals. Otherwise, I'll forget when I put it in the show notes. 9 out of 10. So Rebecca's given it a full moon. Connor, I don't know why. Conishu, I don't know why full moon constitutes 9 out of 10. Come on, but yeah.
It's because the 10 is a special one.
Yeah, it's a very special one. I was thinking of giving it like an 8.5. I did give it down to an 8. The Big Beautiful Yellow Man. I thought it was really, really good. Only because I was trying to put it in context with issue 14, which I really did enjoy as well.
Yeah, but I like this for different reasons. Like, I mean, 14 was immaculate in some ways, but I like then having to deal with that, sort of like getting to see the alters more in their,
Totally know what, yeah.
You know, doing their investigation thing. I like seeing Jake really is not going to be the super violent stereotype that we're worried about. And the hug and the haircut. Just nudge it up that extra half point for me. Because like that it's emotional and it hits, you know?
Rebecca, you know I'm going to have to title this episode "The Hug and the Haircut." So,
I mean, to be fair, that probably is. They probably are the two things that people talked about the most about this issue.
Yeah, look, I think it's a spectacular issue as well, and for me, the great thing about it is everything that you've said, Rebecca, as well. But again, what I mentioned about the juggling, there's so many. Jed actually packs a lot into this issue, like by way of introducing, although they're incidental characters, introducing them, introducing an agenda for Steve and Jake. You get all three of Moon Knight's closest kind of new congregation. You know, you get the origins of Nemean and Grand Mao. There's plenty to go in here.
There's a lot there, and I just think instead of being this info dump, this is where the alters really help, because it just gives you different moods, different jokes. It feels like they've got different senses of humor almost, but still the same, but slightly different. You know, the interspersion with the therapy session. It's just, it plays out. It doesn't feel like too heavy, like, oh, I'm just giving you a list of information.
Yeah. And yeah, no, exactly. Just lost my train of thought there, but no, for sure. So yeah, a fantastic issue. Looney listeners, go check it out. We aren't done there yet, Rebecca. Next issue 16, we definitely get Moon Knight in Chinatown there. A bit of a preview of the front cover. A nice different front cover there, Rebecca.
Yeah, it's really bright and cool.
Yeah,
all the sort of lantern.
On the
I don't remember what the
there.
solicit was for 16.
No, I don't remember either. I just know that there's a big brouhaha with vampires coming very soon.
Yeah, so... I mean, I know that Moon Knight ventures into unknown territory to make a new friend of an ancient monster. Hunter's Moon stalks the rooftops on his own, intent on his own definition of justice.
Oh.
Little does he know he's far from the only one stalking the nighttime cityscape. So we're going to get more Hunter's Moon. I knew one of them had a big Hunter's Moon thing. So
I was about to say, Rebecca, I hope the annual that we'll get a backup story of Hunter's Moon. That would be cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah, just because, annuals allow for that. So, so very cool, very exciting stuff there. Now we do have, I've got to throw this up, courtesy of Carpe Diem, who won the competition. We have quotation mark. We have Looney feedback time. We have the what am I saying, Rebecca? It's Looney feedback time. Just had to reset and reboot there.
Yeah.
Now I'm just going to have to quickly look. I do have, maybe Rebecca, if you can. You haven't got the prompt sheet. I just wanted to double check.
I have Mario's up on Facebook, so I can read his.
Well, if you can have a look, are there any others? Just to double check. No, okay. So let's just stick with Mario's. Would you like to give that a go?
Yeah, sure. So this is Mario on Facebook. Mm-hmm. This is a tricky one to review because on the one hand, not a lot happens plot-wise, but on the other, we get a lot of lovely character bits, including the first chance this run to see Stephen and Jake in their native environments. And I love how the art, and especially the colouring, changed as they each search for intel. Bright sunny vistas for one, lurid neon for the other. And that, plus the art, is the true strength of the issue, as we not only see Grant and Lockley do their thing, but also get to see the reaction of most of the supporting cast to the changes triggered by last week's intervention. Only Greer and 8-Ball are missing.
true.
But I guess Tigra knows already.
Well,
I don't know.
Tigra and Marco shared a very special moment in the anthology.
8-Ball probably is just hiding.
8-Ball, who cares about 8-Ball?
He's terrified and hiding. And with the sole exception of Soldier, who is frankly underwritten and acts a bit like a pod person, their reactions not only show how they see Moon Knight as a person, but also reveal a bit about themselves. And we even get some plot movement, including the reveal that the other vampire that the tutor is afraid of is based in Chinatown. I'm not sure who it could be.
Yep.
Sorry, carry on.
Sorry.
No?
No, sorry. I was about to just say that I'm not sure about that comment, though, Mario. I'm not sure if Ruben is who Tutor is afraid of. Jake just wants to find Ruben, who's the brother of Naomi.
But I think he said he was avoiding Chinatown. I don't know. I have to go back and read.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I heard that. That's where because Naomi said Ruben's in Chinatown.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But I think there was something about the tutor not. We'll go back and reread that.
Okay.
And then Mario says, I'm not sure who it could be, but given Jed's love for deep cuts, I'm going to throw out the name Kwai Hua.
Oh, jeez. I love it, Mario.
Please, I hate pronunciation.
I love it.
But hopefully I didn't kill it. All in all, a solid issue. I'll say 8.5 out of 10.
Nice.
P.S. 8-Ball the movie. Think about
8-Ball the animated short.
The way it's going, we might get 8-Ball and She-Hulk.
Yeah. I was just seeing it like 8-Ball in a Murdoch-like kind of stop animation.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, Mario. And sorry for cutting you off there, Rebecca, as well. I mean, Mario, you're probably right because, old Ray's not the best when it comes to
I think
recall.
Everyone pays more attention than we do.
Yeah. But I thought that definitely there is the vampire there's a big contingent that they're worried about. And so we'll have to reread that, but thank you very much. It's interesting because it does tie into the tutor, and that's what it's, that then actually ties to Nemean and Grand Mal as well, so it would make it a nice cohesive thing. So a huge thank you there, Mario. Really love the feedback. Rebecca, we have another bit of feedback here from Mr. Noel Tate, so I'm just going to play this now. Haven't heard it. This should be good.
Hey, Ray and Rebecca, it's Noel Tate, your friend from Trapped in a World, the Howard the Duck podcast, proud member of the collective. Calling in, not for a review of issue 15, but to tell a little story about it. So, as you guys know, I had COVID last week, and I got better pretty quick. Felt all right. Wasn't fun, wasn't the worst, but wouldn't wish it on anybody. Anyway, so my immune system kicked COVID's butt pretty quickly. But then it decided that it was in hyperdrive and it wanted to attack my toes. So now I have a thing called COVID toe, where my toes hurt really bad. Anyway, so needless to say, I can't walk very well. Couldn't make it up to my local comic book shop to pick up issue number 15 today. So me and my wife just went to the drugstore to pick up some lotion to put on my toes. And I came home, hobbled back in my house sadly. Went to go look at my front porch to see if we got any mail, and Moon Knight Santa left issue 15 on my front doorstep.
Nice.
I don't know who it was, so nice. But some magical creature dropped off the new issue of Moon Knight on my doorstep. I'm about to go
Thank you, Jed.
Now. Talk to you guys later.
Thank you, Father Christmas, Jed.
Oh, thank you, Moon. Whoever that. Thank you, Conchu. Thank you, Hunter's Moon. Whoever delivered that to Noel. It is cool just to remain anonymous. If you want to call out, please do. That's awesome. And I hope Noel, number one, I hope Noel, you're feeling a lot better with it. I didn't know about that because I hadn't heard your feedback. We've interacted before playing this and since you actually sent it. So apologies if I hadn't brought that up.
You're feeling a lot better already.
Yeah, and when hoping this issue as well has made you feel a lot better too. So, no, great stuff there. Thank you, Noel. Listeners as well, there is a discussion thread on our social media platforms. The discussion hasn't ended. Just drop your thoughts in there too. Let the discussion flow. Mario's got a lot in there. As Rebecca said, you can catch all his references and all his research in our group chat, as well. Rebecca, I think that ties up this episode in a nice, neat bow. So thank you so much as well for sharing. It's always cool because this is, the main time we get to catch up and share.
It is.
and
It's
chat
nice.
with
We
you.
get to just chat about it, and it's really cool.
Get to leave all our, work problems away. I get to have this nice. I'm doing a Stephen Grant, a nice bottle of a whiskey here. A bit
nice.
Of scotch. So enjoying that. But Looney listeners, next episode, Rebecca, I think we did talk about maybe tying up a lot of the cameo appearances of Moon Knight. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, it may not be a really in-depth kind of discussion, but we'll have fun at least acknowledging where Moon Knight has been over the last couple of weeks, few weeks, month or so.
Yeah, it's cool. And we don't have 2 issues a month now, so that's...
Yep. And we don't have a TV show to...
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, you're going to have a lot of issues in October, but I skip those to slack off and go on holiday.
Rebecca's going to have a well-earned break.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool. But yeah, so episode 302, check it out. As always, a big thank you to all our patroonies. A big shout out to Odin, Daniel, Drew, Frank, Justin, Derek, Wayne, Josh, Anthony, Russell, Michael, Mario, Matthew, and Jonathan. And you too can become a Patreon member at patreon.com/ITK Moon Knight. A big shout out to our principal sponsors, Odin Sword. Check out Drinking Marvel podcast. He and his brother do a great job having a few drinks and chatting Marvel. Frank the Think Tank. Got to get Frank the Think Tank back, Rebecca. He's a fountain of knowledge. Check out his Instagram, Moon Knight Visions with a Z. Daniel doing great stuff with Fringe Knight, his original indie comic based on Erie, Pennsylvania's very own mysterious superhero, his own creation, still pumping out the great issues. Check out his Patreon page on patreon.com/Fringe Knight 27. The irrepressible Drew Toombs, great loony and valued member of the community. He's been loving the issues as well. I've seen that on his Facebook profile and page. Check out his music on soundcloud.com/Toombs with a Z, or also on Bandcamp, lurkmusic with a ck.bandcamp.com. CLZ Comics, organise all your stash at collectors.com. You know what I found out, Rebecca, from all my organising? I found out that I can't remember if I've told you before, but I think I found out that I am missing a whole box somewhere. I don't know. Yes, I don't know where the hell it is.
I reckon that is where Stephen Grant's new money came from.
He stole it because
I reckon Mark nicked it.
Yes, my totally awesome Hulk is missing. So,
yeah, see,
exactly.
At the same,
yeah, and a few other things that I've noticed from my database. So please, it's a great resource. Collectors.com. And finally, Dreamland Comics, user code MOON to get 20% off their online store. Do it. Please do it and let us know if you do. Finally, we're part of the Collective. Rebecca, anything happening in and around? I did see you guys are planning something soon on a particular property with Alan.
I've just recorded with Alan on Freedom Fighters The Ray. For the DCAU podcast, and we've just recorded the final Iron Fist of the miniseries with the Immortal Iron Fist. Although there's a tie-in for Axe coming, so it's not quite the last one.
Okay, still got to read that last. I don't know if I've got it. I'll have to pick it up from the store. I mean, it's on my pile. But go check out Rebecca on the other episodes, such as DCAU, DC Animated Universe podcast, and also Sons of the Dragon and Immortal Iron Fist podcast. A big shout out to a couple of others. I just want to give a big shout out to Noel and Trapped in the World, the Howard the Duck podcast, doing great work there. Rebecca, look, I don't want to sound like a broken record as well, but Howard the Duck is pretty funny.
It is. I'm a bit behind, so I'm going to do a big catch-up on my holiday.
Yeah, a lot of really funny stuff. I did laugh out
I really
loud
enjoy the
a couple
podcast.
times.
Good stuff.
And a shout-out to the fellas over at Gamma Charge as well. The strongest podcast there is. Finally, you can catch us drop us a line on email, feedback@itkmoonnight.com. Check out our website. That's always there, itkmoonnight.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Discord, Get Vocal, and Podchaser as well. And all good podcast catches too. Well, with that, Rebecca, what are you up to after this little ditty of
I
recording?
am going to the cinema.
Nice. What are you watching?
Yes. See How They Run.
Oh.
It's a murder mystery.
Oh, Rebecca, you're liking your murder mysteries. What's going on?
I am at the moment. Well, there's so many good ones at the moment. With, like, Only Murders in the Building, Knives Out. We're kind of in a good. This one's with Sam Rockwell, so I'd watch anything with him in.
Yeah,
So
like him,
I'll watch anything with him in, and it's set in theaters, I think.
Yeah.
So again, and it just sounded more fun than a lot of the things that are on. And then tomorrow and Sunday, seeing Friends. So depending on what's open in the UK.
Oh yeah, true, absolutely. Yeah. Again, another new colleague of ours. She's from Malaysian background, and she was telling us, I can't remember which royal family member, when they passed, the media pretty much covered, the life and the passing of this character for about a month. And I was going, wow, if that's about a month, imagine for Queen Elizabeth. Like,
I know,
that'll
that's
be
crazy. You'll be interested on Sunday. We're going to go find all the Filipino restaurants in London. Doing a big food tour. So.
I'd really like to know. Let us know. And if you do dine in, what sort of dishes that they have.
Well, I'm going. My friends who's coming from Canada is Filipino.
Okay.
So he's gonna guide me through it.
Nice. No, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Yeah, I it's kind of evening here, so I might kick up watch something on Disney Plus. Why not?
Go for it. There's so much to watch now after D Plus Day.
Yeah, I've got to say, just finally as well, I only just watched, Love and Thunder in the cinemas, and then it's now on Disney Plus. But that's cool. I can watch it. Kind of watch it again.
It moves so quickly now. So,
it does, and get to see, our boy at the end. Can't wait.
Yep.
Anyway, listeners, that's all from us, and thank you, Rebecca, once again. As always, may Khonshu watch over the denizens of the night. Catch you later.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Moon Knight and affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Materials used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.
Hello world, it's time to open the green door and enter the strongest podcast there is, Gamma Charge.
Twice a month, Russell and I dive into the history of the Incredible Hulk in comics, film, TV, games, and more.
That's right, Justin, and we rate and review all the Jade Giant's media, good and not so good, with a smash or a gamma clap. And we put on the rant pants when we just can't take it.
And join us on Patreon to get exclusive bonus podcasts, prizes, and more at patreon.com/Gamma Charge Hulk Podcast.
We will see you real soon, Gamma Beasts. Stay green.
Gamma Charge.
The strongest podcast there is.